Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Some of you that have joined or that joined the welcome session that we had a couple of weeks back before we actually started week 1 would remember me. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Boluwatiwi Ayo Opaleke, and it's a pleasure to be your co-host at tonight's interactive session. This is the very first interactive session, for the program itself. I know that a couple of us were very eager about this session, based off of the interactions and questions that we asked in the group a couple of weeks back. So it's nice to see that you're here. Thank you for joining in. I know that Saturdays can be a bit of a tight, can be a bit tight for many people because apart from one bed, some of us, use that for our hair days and some other stuff, So thank you for being here. Tonight's interactive session will be handled or taken, facilitated by our very own Mrs.
All right, we're sorry about that. It seems that network threw her out. I'm sure she's going to join back in again very shortly.
Okay.
But there she is.
Sorry, I just realized that my Zoom had gone off the screen. So I was wondering what was happening. Apparently, the network where I'm at is pretty crappy. So I really do apologize for that. Yes, I was frozen for a bit, right? So I was saying that she's also a certified family systems engineering practitioner. She's the author of several books. And all her books are literally about helping you to gain insights into what really makes your marriage work, or at least improve on the quality of your relationships. She's of Yoruba origin. She's happily married to Boniface, her husband of over 39 years. And they have 4 lovely children. Okay, so that'll be it. It's 8 minutes past the hour. Mommy Mo, I yield the mic to you. Thank you.
All right, then. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I would say that this is the very first stream of Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program that I have facilitated as an interactive session this early. Usually I come in at the very last, and I hope that you're going to have an exciting time today. If your name is, if you have not put your name so we can identify you, please remedy that so that I would be able to call you. It is going to be an entirely interactive session, and that is going to happen in one of 2 ways. Either I'm going to call you and ask you to read something or ask a question, or you are going to want to ask a question, in which case you can raise your hand and I would, that's your virtual hand, and I would see it. If you are in a place where you are not able to speak right now, because we have that happen sometime, just let us know in the chat. But that doesn't mean that you would not interact with us. It just means that instead of speaking orally, you're going to be sharing your thoughts with us, via the chat. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Today, this is the very, very first interactive session, that we are going to be having in stream 7 of the Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program. And we're looking at the topic, understanding humanity, appreciating the dignity of persons, understanding humanity, appreciating the dignity of persons. Myself and other people who are facilitating this Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program We belong to a network of family systems engineering practitioners, and the concept of understanding humanity is one of the things that we promote. It has come out of our understanding that many challenges and many difficulties that people face in marriage is largely because people don't look at themselves as human beings. People don't understand humanity. People don't appreciate the dignity of persons. Also, we find out that, when people are choosing the person that they're going to marry, again, because they don't understand this concept of understanding humanity and appreciating the dignity of persons, they inadvertently go and marry somebody who does not understand humanity. And believe you me, you know, that's a problem that is more difficult to solve when you are in marriage. So if you are not yet married and you are here, this is good for you. If you are already married, I hope that by the time we finish today, you would have shifted your paradigm and you would become someone who can actually treat your partner as a human being. So let's go on. Part of what we're going to be doing is exploring the roles of male and female in marriage and beyond. And I want you to put aside anything, whenever this matter of the roles of male and female in marriage come up, many people, their alarm bells start ringing. Sometimes the men are thinking, is this a feminist gathering? Are they going to be telling us to allow the women to oppress us? Sometimes the women too are afraid. But the thing is this, if you do not understand the role of a male and the role of a female in marriage, and indeed in any other relationship, again, you are going to get into a lot of trouble. So whatever it is that you do, I'm going to say to you, put aside any, there is a way that when you hear some words, certain thoughts will just start flying around in your head. Whatever those thoughts are, put them aside for the next 2 hours when we're doing this interactive session. And then afterwards, you will let me know whether you're still thinking the same. What are the 3 things we want to achieve during this session? The first one is that hopefully all of us will begin to understand that both men and women share humanity. So men are not much more human than women. Women are not more human than men. Usually when I'm working with married couples, a question I ask them is this: both of you have hurt one another. Whose pain are you feeling more? And usually everybody will say their own pain. Is your partner's pain any less? They're not too sure because they're not feeling it. But the reality is that no matter how intense your own pain is, it doesn't diminish the pain of another person. And if you're a husband and wife team, the pain of a husband does not diminish the pain of his wife. The pain of a wife does not diminish the pain of the husband. So the first thing that we hope to get out of this session is for all of us who are here to understand that, okay, both men and women are human beings. What does that mean? The second one is we want to promote mutual respect and dignity in relationships. Very often in our community, especially the African community, but trust me, I've studied marriages in different places. It's not only in the African communities. When you hear the word respect, instinctively people think that it is only for the man. But you're going to find out as we go on in this interactive session today that it is mutual respect and dignity in relationships that make relationships to go well. The third thing we're going to do in this session is that we're going to challenge stereotypes and cultural biases about gender roles. We're going to challenge stereotypes and cultural biases about gender roles. I'm an engineer. I have 2 degrees in engineering. So many times when I hear people saying women are this, I keep shaking my head. Why? Because from the time that I was 16, I was one girl only in a class of boys. And so I am comfortable to be with men. I think, I talk, I use my brain, and I when I hear some of the things that people say about women, I'll be wondering where are they bringing it from? When I also hear some of the things people say about men, and I remember my own classmates and I remember my own husband, I'll be wondering where they're coming from. So again, we're going to look at stereotypes and the cultural biases about gender roles, and then we're going to see what it is. Now, I'd like a volunteer. On the screen right now is a puzzle. We're going to look at two puzzles before we start. So I want a volunteer to read for me. If you want to volunteer, please raise your hand and then I'll call you to read for me. Who's volunteering? Okay, Phillips. So look at it. Navigating. One moment, I need to do a few things to my. Okay, great. So navigating dreams and expectations. Read for us, please, Phillips.
All right, Mark. Good afternoon, everyone. So, navigating dreams and expectations. Your daughter, a brilliant aerospace engineer, has been offered a once in a lifetime opportunity to lead a groundbreaking mission to Mars. The position comes with a salary of $1 million per month, global recognition, and benefits for her parents. However, her fiance insists she declined the offer because it conflicts with his vision of her being a full-time homemaker to raise their children. He argues that while her career is admirable, her role at home is irreplaceable. What would be your counsel to your daughter?
Okay, then. So there you have it. This brilliant young woman, a lot of investment from the parents, successful, and now she's about to marry, and she gets this mouth-watering offer. And then the person she wants to marry says, oh no, we're just about to get married. You can't be taking this kind of an offer because you see, you won't be able to be a full-time homemaker and raise our children. He admires her career and her at home is irreplaceable. Now, this young woman is your daughter. What will be your counsel to her? What would you say to her when she comes to you? So she's come, daddy, mommy, this is the situation I find myself in. What do you think? So if you'd like to share your response with me, just raise up your hand. You can also share your response in the chat. So who is going to go first? Okay, Adiola, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yes, good evening, everyone. As a parent, I would advise her to go for it because in my life experience, I have come to realize that you have to live for yourself. And, I feel that as women, we sacrifice a lot for the family. And when all is said and done, we ourselves, we don't do anything for ourselves and we feel empty afterwards. So I would advise her to go for it. But having said that, I would also advise her to, speak to her husband. I mean, both of them should have a discussion about it. So don't entirely, dismiss his own views about, being a mother, but maybe find a balance, how to make it work for both parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Adiola. Well, let's hear from Phillips, a man. Okay. Phillips, what would be your counsel to your daughter?
Uh, okay, so I will answer this in two ways. Number one, this is like crazy amount. Number one, in the sense that it's very unrealistic, but let's just say it's realistic. I have to call, I would say, the guy and make them understand of how different ways you could actually make things work. Like the last person who spoke previously just now, finding a balance because number one, she's doing this, I guess, even before you guys met, and this is expectations of what our career path is pretty much like the goal in life. So because now you're meeting as a it's still a fiance, it's not even an husband, to be honest. So he he has a say, but it's just something that you have to find a balance in the sense that being a mother, there's so many things even that the money could use in helping sort out that you like, except for that like companion, maybe she has to travel every time, that might be missing in their relationship because of maybe how long she has to travel. But I don't think even when they travel, say 3 months, 2 months, when they come back, they don't travel again immediately like that. They have that time to really stay back. So my advice would be to even call the husband, sit them both down, let them see the pros and the cons of why she should take this life-changing opportunity. Also, the second answer is putting myself in this position of the man. To be honest, I would say take it, and I will don't worry about it. I will be the full house man. I would say, which is not so common in the sense that it depends on how you're being groomed growing up. You understand? If you know how to do things that women know how to do, having your woman take opportunity that will change you guys' life would not be too hard. You understand? And it just depends on people's opinion and how they're being brought up. That really, like the way someone see a figure nine. If someone is looking it from the south or west, they will say, "No, I see six. Why you're seeing nine?" So that's just.
All right, then thank you. So we're going to listen to Mercy and then we'll move on. Mercy, unmute yourself. What would be your counsel to your daughter?
Good evening, Ma. Good
And
evening,
for the
everybody.
rest of you, I'd be glad to also read your perspectives in the chat. Go ahead, Mercy.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Good evening, Ma. Good evening, everybody. So before I counsel my daughter, I would ask her what type of wife she wants to be. So yeah, she's an engineer, but we can't really tell if she wants to be a career woman or a full-time housemaker. There's some people who study engineering but really don't want to work in that career, pretty much maybe doing it maybe because of their parents or for some other reason, and meanwhile would not mind being a homemaker. So it depends on the kind of wife she wants to be, right? Because the way I read it, the offer is great, but it also goes beyond this offer. Being that they plan to get married, there'll be various decisions in their household that will, sort of depend on the kind of wife she wants to be. Yes, today it's this decision. Tomorrow it's who is going to not go to work and go for the child's PTA meeting, for instance. So it depends on the kind of wife she wants to be. If she wants to be a full-time homemaker, she can let go of the offer and do what the husband wants because she wants to do that as well. However, if she wants to be a career person, there's a conversation that needs to be had between herself and her fiance to say, you know what, I want to be a career person, so I would have to, take this offer. And in subsequent decisions that may come up around this type of area, they are both guided, they are both aligned that, in this area of homemaking versus career woman, she wants to be a career woman. And they pretty much have to maybe delegate some parts of the homemaking to the man, still the woman as well, or, third party as well. So yeah, it will all depend on the kind of wife she wants to be. She wants to be a career person. I would counsel her, advise her to go ahead, discuss with the husband and, take that offer. She wants to be a full-time homemaker, then yeah, she can let go of the offer. Thank you.
Okay, then thank you, everyone. I think these have been interesting perspectives that I've shared. We have seen, even from three people talking to us, that it's not something that the person can probably just say, okay, I've seen what it is that I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. I see that Albert has shared something. I'm trying to get the chat so I can see what he wrote. Okay. Ojetunde says, I'll gladly advise her to take the offer, even if she wants to be a full housewife and she can resign a few years later. Destiny says, I will ask my daughter why she studied the course. What are her future goals and purpose? Knowing that could help her in choosing who she dates and who she marries. Okay. I'll read one more. Yes, Albert says, I will advise her to discuss with her husband at length. Let her make him understand the benefits of the offer, the terms and conditions, and also let him understand that this has been her vision, if that has actually been her vision, and she believes in achieving this once in a life offer. It will also set a good example for the future children, family, and also her community. They can make trade-offs. Essentially, you have just seen now that depending on the people in the situation, how they're going to view this puzzle is going to be different. And that is already telling us one thing about understanding humanity. Okay, so let's look at the second puzzle. I need a second volunteer to read this for me. Who is volunteering? Okay, let me see who is raising their hand. Oh, three of you are raising your hand. Okay, Jessica, you've not spoken. Please read for us.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Balancing ambitions and responsibilities. Your son, a driven entrepreneur, is working hard to build a tech company which is still in its early stages. His wife, who earns a stable income in her career, insists he sells the business and takes a less demanding 9-to-5 job so he can spend more time at home. She believes that as a husband and father, his primary role should be as the family's provider and caretaker of their shared dreams, even if it means sacrificing his entrepreneurial ambitions. What will be your counsel to your son?
Okay, so now we've put the shoe on the other foot. Most people usually think that these issues affect only the women, but you've seen now also that it affects the men as well. So here is this young man, driven entrepreneur, working hard to build a tech company which has a lot of potential, but his wife is, wanting stability and says, look, this thing is too risky for me. Take a less demanding thing. It's taking a lot of your time and spend more time at home. So she has a perspective that his primary role should be the family provider and caretaker of their shared dreams, even if he has to sacrifice his ambitions. You are the parent of this young man. What will be your counsel to him? So let's hear from some other people. Manuel, let's hear from you. You can also share in the chat.
All right. Good evening, good evening, everyone. All right. So I think for me, I think this is more of a case of a simple compromise, wherein probably the man could make an adjustment in his entrepreneurial pursuit, wherein he's able to balance or integrate family activities into what he does as an entrepreneur. So probably blocking out some days of the week, or being firm on the policy of, okay, you know what, beyond this time is what I dedicate for my family, in the sense I don't have to work around the clock. All right. So I think it's a case of he has to discuss with his wife and strike a compromise or reach an agreement on how it could balance the family's needs and at the same time still pursue the entrepreneurial pursuit. And I think at the same time, also to address what the wife's concern might be. All right, yeah. So I think they'll be able to reach a middle ground on the issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. Anyone else wants to say something? What will be your counsel? To this young man? You are the parent of the young man. Olamide, they both will be happy with. Okay. Rachel says, I wouldn't say she should go or not go. She brings out a really valid point. She says the man may have grown up in a home where the parents were, okay, sorry, she's still talking about the other lady, Okay, I'll come back to that much later. All right, Phillips, let's hear from you briefly and then we'll go on.
My advice would be for him to sit the wife down again and pretty much ask himself, like, if he has a time frame of when he thinks the tech company might be able to come to uh, a stage where he's able to give his family the time. Because as someone who is an entrepreneur, he probably might have gone through 9 to 5 and don't want to do that again, and feels like, okay, this is going to be a better way out for me to actually give my family that time. Because as an entrepreneur, the reason why you're really wanting to be an entrepreneur is to be able to have the freedom of your time, and even most importantly also be able to take care of your family without any restriction. So it's going to be something that the family and the wife has to compromise, at least for the early stage of what he's doing, for the future betterment. So my advice won't be for him to let go of his goal, because say someone like what's his name, Jeff Bezos, had the same thing and let go of his dream from the conception of that Amazon dream, it won't be where he is today. So I wouldn't advise him to let go. And also, the wife has a valid point, but there just have to be an understanding. Pretty much, they have to be compromised, and also they have to be understanding of where they can come to conclusion of where.
All right, then. Thank you. I'm going to let Femi speak. Femi, go ahead. What would be your counsel to your son?
Okay, yeah, thank you, man. So I would advise him to, of course, speak to the wife. That's the most important part of it, because one is, if he's going to be an entrepreneur trying to manage a startup, definitely it will take more time than a 9 to 5. There's almost no way you can sort of manage that. It's always more demanding managing a startup, so to say. So you probably need to let the wife see the bigger picture that is seen about the business. Of course, it would at a point in time even translate to benefit for the family also. So you need to let the wife see the bigger picture, because he needs the wife probably more than any other person to even manage the family. Why he's trying to do that? And at the same time, he needs to also try to, I would say, strike a balance, but that may also be somewhat hard, because based on the challenges of the business, that is what determine how much time he needs to resolve a lot of things, mind a lot of resources. So definitely it will take a lot of resources. And even though the wife complained about time, I probably don't know, but they may even be concerned about even finances, because if you're trying to do a startup, right? Then it means that there will be a time before even we start having positive cash flow and the likes. And that may mean that the wife may have to be supporting some things even in the home. I've even had an experience whereby the wife even had to be supporting the startup in terms of financing, because of course, if you push your dream for 1 year and the likes, and you've not been able to break even, you want the company to collapse. So the wife may be at that receiving end to support that business, So which you also tell on her. And of God forbid that the business now even fail, the startup crashes, is a big risk. Yeah. So he needs to discuss it with the wife, letting her see the big picture, and of course try to maybe mitigate the risk also. So if he's able to do that as a side business or side also, while he's doing another job, maybe that may help to mitigate that. Then when he sees that things are getting a bit better, then he may now transition into it fully. So maybe it might be a good decision to just move straight to become an entrepreneur if it's not something that he has some other leverage on, so that the burden will not be on the wife. Yeah, so there may be that concern. So I will tell him to speak with the wife and draft out a plan on how we can manage the challenge, because it will be more challenging for me to magic about that. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Marvelous, please mute yourself. Thank you very much, Femi. I like the responses that you all have given. I want to underline something. For both the lady and for the man, for the lady, her husband believes. When something is somebody's belief or paradigm, sometimes it takes a lot more to shift it. When you look at the young man as well, the wife's belief, her paradigm, her understanding of what a husband should be is what we're looking at here. So thank you all very much for the contributions. So we saw that in the case of the young woman who was getting a job as somebody working in the aerospace industry, it seems her husband was coming with one of the popular beliefs that a woman should be a homemaker. In the case of the second puzzle, we see that the wife in that case was coming with a popular belief of, if the husband is the provider, he is the person whose income should be stable so that the family will not be shaky. Because you see that she has a job, but she still feels that if my life is going to be stable, let the man who is going to be the provider be. So what are some popular beliefs that you know about men and women? Just write these ones now in the chat box for me. What are some popular beliefs that you personally know that people have, about men and women in marriage? And while I'm watching what you're writing, I'm going to also be sharing some with you. So, one very popular belief is that a woman's place is in the home. Behind that belief for most people is the understanding that regardless of what intellectual capacity the woman has, regardless of the education that she has had, regardless of the dreams that she has for her life, the thing that should define her is the home. Another belief that people have about women is that, they should be reserved and modest. So they don't expect them to stand out in the public. It will look at as, is she trying to become the man in the relationship? Then for the men, because it's not, sometimes people feel a man's wealth is what determines his worth. Or a man should not show vulnerability. So you tell me, yes, I'm already seeing some of the things. Destiny says a woman should not earn more than a man. Women should be quiet. They should be seen and not heard. Women should be submissive. The belief, is it only the women? A man just provides financially. Yes, Bertram says man must be the provider all the times. Women must be the chef at home all the times. Yes. There's so very many popular beliefs. The question is, where do these beliefs come from? Some people will even carry shoulder and say, it's our culture, and we will not agree. Where did it come from? We're going to look at some of those things today. Are these beliefs set in concrete? To set something in concrete means that's the way it has been from the beginning, it is now, and it is going to be forevermore. Nobody should try to do anything to change it. So keep those beliefs in your mind while we go on. So let's look, regardless of your religious belief, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a traditional religious, a person who practices traditional religion, the long and short is that you didn't just land here on earth, Sha. Mankind did not just land here on earth. One moment, please. Mankind didn't just land there on earth. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma.
Okay.
We can hear you, ma.
All right, then. So whatever it is, there is a creator. And for me, who is a Christian, That creator is the God of the Bible. He made man in his own image. Most people believe that God made man in his own image. However, somehow, from believing that God made man in his own image, we very quickly transit into believing that it is the man, male, that God made. Whereas, if you read many of the religious books, you're going to see that when God created human beings, he created them male and female. So the use of the word man, M-A-N. Yes, Yvette, you raising your hand?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that there are some people in the waiting room and they're actually putting things in the chat.
Okay. Boluwatiwe and Chisom should be attending to them. I think they're all in now. Boluwatiwe, are you there? Please give me a moment, everyone. Okay, I think Boluwatiwe was thrown out. Okay. All right, and thank you very much, Yvette, for letting me know that. So, man is not male. Man is humanity or mankind. And what that means is a creature of God that has the ability to think, the ability to act, the ability to create, and the ability to serve. Now, the man that God made could be a female, could also be a male. Everything that God put in a human being when he created them, what he put in the man, he also put in the woman. Do you believe that, or do you have a different school of thought? Let me know what you believe in the chat box. Are you in the school of thought that says whether you are a man or a woman, no, what God made for a human being, everything he put in the man, he also puts in the woman? Which school of thought do you belong to? Let me know in the chat. But what history has shown us, what time has shown us, what books that we read have shown us is that mankind, whether man or woman, when God created each one of us, he actually, what he put in a man is what he put in a woman. Now, did he put intellectual capacity in a man? Yes, he put it in the woman. Did he put physical capacity in a man? Yes, he put it in the woman. Did he put mental capacity in a man? Yes, he put it in the woman as well. And so male and female are humanity. The only thing is that one is masculine and one is feminine. That's what differentiates us. Of course, when you look at our physical makeup, you'd see that there are things, of course, that women have. So, for example, a woman can get pregnant, a woman has breasts to feed the baby, a woman has, people say a woman has emotions, but research is showing us now that all the emotions that women have, men also have it as well. So I'm asking you a question today. What if everything you thought you knew about manhood and womanhood was wrong? So when I wanted to go to engineering school, some people accosted me and they say, why do you want to register for, why are you going to do a man's course? Engineering was thought to be a man's course, so people are thinking, what do you want to go and do engineering for? Sometimes you'll find a man wants to become a chef. People will say, why do you want to do women's work? If a man wants to be a nurse, they say, what are you doing? It's women that do nursing. So what if everything you thought you knew about manhood and womanhood was wrong? So let's look at a few things. And again, we're going to come back to interaction now. I'm going to want to be hearing from you. Either you raise up your hand or you answer in the chat box. What is the difference between the term a male and the term a husband? What's the difference between the two of them? Do raise up your hand. Let me see you if you want to respond. When you talk about a male and you are talking about a husband, what's the difference? Jessica, go ahead.
Probably, well, the first thing that came to mind was male is basically biology, or I would say gender, but a husband is a role. It's kind of a job that you take on. I think same applies for the wife as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Who has a different idea? What's the difference between a male and a husband on one hand and a female and a wife? What's the difference? Anyone raising up your hand? Okay, Femi says, I believe that God puts the same things in men and women. So remember what we said about humanity? God made man, and then he made some female and he made some male. But what he put in all of them is exactly the same. Of course, he gave some capacity to the woman, which the woman can do and the man cannot do. He also gave some capacity to the man, which the man can do and the woman cannot do. So in my early days as a marriage counselor, I used to ask my couples, if you are living on the 3rd floor and there is no water running from your tap, and you want to fetch water, which you're going to be using in the house, between the husband and the wife, who really should be doing the fetching of the water? What do you think? Remember, the class is interactive. Sarah, go ahead.
The person that has the most strength, which is most likely the man, physically strong.
Exactly. The person that has the most strength, which is likely to be the man. So that is showing us that, yes, there are things that God puts in each one of us. However, yes, Boluwatiwi, you're raising your hand.
Yes, ma, for two things. One, to say, please make me co-host and Chisom again, since we were thrown out before. Then the second was to say that you skipped a few comments. Maybe I should read it out. That Rachel said that male is man. Okay, no, I think that has been. Olamide says not every male has the capacity or ability to be a husband. Not every female has the capacity to be a wife. Ade Shola says you can be a male and not be married, but as a husband, you are a male and you are married. Yeah, so I thought to just repeat that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a bit so that I can just quickly make Boluwatiwi and Chisom co-hosts and they can go on. Apologies for the break in transmission. Okay, that's done.
Thank you, ma.
Okay. All right. So again, you're seeing that there are different things that we have to be considering. Some people have said a person can be a male, but they're not yet a husband. Some people have said, yes, in the matter of fetching water to the 3rd floor, the man may actually be the weaker person by reason of ill health. So yes, there is a difference. Being male is very different from being a husband. Being female is very different from being a wife. And you're going to learn more about that in subsequent modules. Now, let's look at it. When you look at a male and a female, who is superior? Who is superior between a male and a female? Again, you can raise up your hand to answer that question, and you can also give your response in the chat. Who is superior between a male and a female? Are you all good? Okay, Jessica, go ahead and answer.
I personally believe that no, I would call it a gender is superior. As we have, I think a lot of people have said, and well, you have also said, Mama, each gender or each person really has the same, I would say, abilities or capacity maybe deposited in them. The utilization of it, of course, is different. It's based on environment, upbringing, access to opportunities, education, a lot of other things in your using of these capacities or whatever. But the the fundamental thing is that neither gender is superior, in my opinion.
Thank you very much. And quite a number of people have also answered in the chat. None is superior, because remember, what God put in the man, he also put in the woman. Now let's go on, because sometimes when we do this session, some people actually think that one person is superior to the other. So we go on to ask the question, which is superior between the sperm and the ovary? Since because all of us come from that. If there is no sperm, will there be a human being? If there is no egg from the ovary, will there be a human being? Again, no superiority. That's what Emmanuel says in the chat. Why? Because they're interdependent. And so for anyone who is in marriage or anyone who is going into marriage, it's very important that these things be very clear in your mind. Counseling room, who actually in this class, it seems that quite a lot of you already have crossed a hurdle, but still we're sharing it because we don't assume. Now, some of these things we're discussing them because when you also are choosing a partner, for those of you who are not yet married, these are basic questions that you need to check out with the person that you want to get, that you're thinking of dating or thinking of getting married to. Since we all agree that there is no superiority between the male and female, I'm going to skip the last question. But let us then go on. So look at the 6 areas that I have on the screen there: leadership, integrity, intelligence, creativity, stupidity, scandals. Who is more superior, the males or the female in this area? Is it that when you come to leadership, oh George, the men have dusted the women? It is the men who are always high in leadership. Is that what do you think? Integrity, intelligence, stupidity, foolishness, scandals. Who is superior in all of those areas? What do you think? Again, I'd like somebody to raise up their hand and answer, and I'd also be looking at your responses in the chat. Which group shows more? Yes, Phillips?
I would say none, in the sense that it depends on what side of the coin that you're saying. Some people might have role models that they see that men are the leaders in, like, so many like leadership and then see that a woman has the integrity. But it just depends on which side that your it's common to you. But for me, I would say none because yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen quite a number of people have also said that, none. Because the reality is that if you look for fantastic leaders in the whole world, you'll find men, you'll find women. If you look for people of integrity, you'll find men, you'll find women. If you look for very intelligent people, you'll find men, you'll find women. If you look for creativity, you'll find women, you'll find men. If you look for people who are very stupid and who do foolish things, you will find men, you will find women. If you look for people who get, into scandals, you will find men, you will find women. So there is no area of life that is the sole preserve of any gender. Phillips has given us some insight. Depending on where you are coming from, what you are exposed to, if in your community only men used to lead, you can wake up and begin to think, what is a woman doing in leadership? When you are asking that question, all you are showing us is where you are coming from. So when people say all men or all women, in the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, we always ask, how many men have you known in your life? How many women have you known in your life? What you know about them, those few people that you have met compared to the population of the whole world, can you be using that your small knowledge to be generalizing for everybody? So we see that in different aspects of life, as you have women who understand finances, that's how you have men who understand finances. As you have women who don't know nada about finances, that's how you have men who don't know nada about finances. So again, we're just seeing that human beings are just human beings. Their environments may shape them, their experiences may shape them. However, at the core, they're human beings. Now, let's look at this list on the wall, on the screen. You have men there, you have women there. Just take one name and share with us, what has that person added to the world? For example, if you look at Thomas Edison, I think he's the one who gave us the telephone. When you look at the telephone, the people who are using the telephone, do they care whether it is a man or woman who created it? Do they actually care? No. Nobody cares whether it was a man or woman who discovered the telephone. All of us are just too glad to have it. So choose one person. I'd like 2 or 3 people, to raise up their hand and answer. Just choose one name and tell us what you know of this person and the value that person has added to our world. I'd like to see your hands, especially those who have not yet talked at all. Amarachi, let's hear from you.
Good evening, everybody. I want to speak about Dora Akunyili of blessed memory. She was not the first NAFDAC DG, but she was one of the most iconic that Nigeria has ever had because of the impact she made in eradicating the cartel of fake and expired drugs. She really attacked that vice in the system, and many people were really, really scared of her because of what she was doing to make sure that fake drugs, substandard drugs, and food products were not in circulation. So that alone, I know, saved many people's lives, because most people don't know the impact. Sometimes when you're checking expiry dates of products when you're buying, some people look at it that I beg what's there, but we don't know the impact that ingesting these harmful products and drugs can have on our health. So she was very, very iconic in doing that. And no one else has actually met up to, filled the shoes she left behind because of the impact of the work that she did. So that's it for Dora Queen. Thank you very much, ma.
Thank you very much. That's a really great point that, Amarachi raised, because the people who die because they were administered fake drugs, when Dora Kuyili came, do you think anybody cared whether she was a man or woman? No, we were all just too happy that somebody was there, addressing the issue. Okay, so who's going next? I still have two people's hands. Femi, please go ahead and talk.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Femi Ashida. I want to speak about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Go ahead.
During Obasanjo's first term, she was brought in as finance minister. It was a big surprise because she's a woman and the country wasn't expecting that a woman would handle such a position. The key thing that she did that has had a lasting impact for decades and is sadly under-celebrated is the fact that between she and President Obasanjo at the time, they were able to get the IMF and World Bank to waive a lot of Nigeria's debt. When the civilian government came in 1999, the country was owing somewhere between 20 and 30 billion dollars at the time. And the interest charge alone was more than we could ever pay. As a result of that, no matter how much money the country made, there would never be any money for infrastructure, education, health, or whatever. They spent about 2-3 years negotiating with all the parties. And because of her doggedness, her intelligence, her networks, and her competence, the debt was reduced from over $20 billion to somewhere close to $2 billion. It was quite miraculous. And as a result of that, the development that people that are old enough may know that between 1999 and 2002, 2003, there wasn't so much development. But between 2003 and 2007, there was a huge amount of development in Nigeria in terms of what the government was doing, the number of new businesses that came in, the telecoms companies that came in, the foreign companies that employed lots of Nigerians because they could now invest in Nigeria. The economy boomed, and that continued until around 2013, long after they had left office. But that's one of the reasons why right now she's the director general, managing director of the World Trade Organization, because of her competence. I wouldn't say single-handedly, but her effort, her stature, and her achievement with President Obasanjo is what allowed a country of 200 million people to begin to grow. So there are over 100 million people in Nigeria today that would be nowhere if she hadn't done that. But because it's a remote thing, people cannot connect the development they saw to her. They actually don't realize it, but I'm sure everybody in Nigeria can connect the difference in our country, our economy between 2023 and today, 2025, because of the staggering changes. So when things go wrong, everybody knows immediately. When things go better, we may not actually realize who is behind it. So she's a titan in the world, and she's well placed amongst the other people here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Femi. Femi has made some really valid points. Do you think that all the people whose lives became better when our debt was cleared care whether it was a man or woman? No, they didn't. They were just too grateful to God that somebody actually addressed that. All right, Emmanuel, let's hear from you, and then we'll hear from Yvette, and then we'll go on. Emmanuel?
All right. Okay, all right. Good evening. Okay, so I will be speaking about Malala. So I think she was an activist from Pakistan, and she actually fought for, I think, mainly education for the girls' child around the Arab regions, the Arab and Middle East axis. All right, so she was really very, she fought for education of children and especially girls' child education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Yvette?
I'll be speaking on Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela was the president of South Africa at a time, and I think some of his achievements just include, so he kind of helped us to display activism, just making sure that we can participate in activism without violence. So that was all his, one of his contributions. So he was always preaching for peace, and then he also helped end the apartheid that was in South Africa. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Olajumoke in the chat said Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, which has changed. You people who know how much the world has changed. Those of us who who started work with typewriter, know what Microsoft has done to our lives, you know. Then Dora Kunyili, okay. Mother Teresa also inspired with her humility. Rachel said Martin Luther King is a civil rights leader and he fought for equality in race for Black Americans. Actually, not only Black Americans. I remember thinking when I went to the UK for my master's that perhaps the only reason that everybody respected me and shook my hand is because of the work that people like Martin Luther King did. And did I care that he was a man? So what we're looking at when we look at all of these people, and there are many of them, even in your locality, you can find people. So they don't have to be people of, they don't have to be people who are well known. Even ordinarily, you just see that both male and female gender have a lot to contribute to the world and to their community wherever they are. So when we start having limiting beliefs about either men or women, do you see the danger that that creates for us as a people? So what we have seen so far is that God didn't put an inferior spirit in a female, and he didn't put a superior spirit in a male. In both of them, he put his spirit. He gave capacity to both of them. And this is a very important thing to know in marriage. Why? For those of you who are single, you want to start asking yourself, this person that I'm talking to, do they see that I am a human being like them? Or do they think that I am different? I'd like a volunteer to read what is on the screen now for me. When you look at a person as a human being, this is what you are saying to them. Can I have a volunteer? Okay, Jessica, go ahead. Please read for me.
Every human being must be able to develop themselves to the highest level without judgments, discover and deliver their vision without restrictions, find a passion and be free to pursue it once it adds value to humanity, enjoy the freedom to think, create, express their minds, make mistakes, and correct their mistakes. Choose to either get married once he or she finds the right partner, or choose to be single without any form of discrimination.
Yes. So when you understand that another person is a human being like you, and you choose to bring them into your life, then part of what you are agreeing to is that they have the capacity to develop themselves. You're not going to be saying, oh, you are a woman, why do you want to do this? Or, oh, you are a man, men don't do this. No. You're going to allow them to discover and deliver their vision without restrictions. You're going to allow them to use what God has blessed them with to bless humanity. They have the capacity and freedom to think, create, express their minds. Now, it's very important also that the person that you want to bring into your life, so one, you have to be somebody who is going to allow the person that you are bringing in to have this freedom. Then they should also be somebody who is going to allow you that freedom. So for example, I am in a situation, where people come to meet me and they're telling me about somebody who is constantly cheating on them. And then they're saying, oh, I've been with this person for X years, and they still want to go on and marry that person. Would we say that that person who is constantly cheating is treating their partner like a human being? Or sometimes you find a woman who is just making demands and making demands and making demands on the man. Would we say that that woman is treating the man like a human being? So from this session on understanding humanity, one thing that you want to take away is that, people always ask red flags, red flags. A huge red flag that many people ignore is that they're in a relationship with somebody who does not share humanity with them, who does not see them as a fellow human being, who does not believe that dignity and respect should be given to them as a human being. And that's why we're doing the understanding humanity first. I'm sure there are going to be many questions that you will have. There are 3 more sessions to go to address things that are around this. But the very first thing that you need to know is that you are a human being. The person that you are going to marry, if you are a man, the woman you are going to marry, if you are a woman, the man you are going to marry is a human being like you. And one thing that you want to require of them, and one thing that you want to be ready to give them, is to understand that they're a human being. If you as a human being can get tired and weary, it means that the person you are going to be in a relationship to can get tired and weary. If you can be sick and want somebody to look after you, it means that your partner too can be sick, and when they're sick, they will want someone to look after them. If you are someone who really wants somebody to nurture you, care for you, you know that the person that you are marrying is also a human being, and they too would have similar needs to you. And so when you have 2 people, both of who see one another as human beings, there are benefits in that relationship. Can I have a volunteer read for us what the benefits are? I don't want anybody who has read before. I want somebody who has not read or said anything today. Yvette, let me see if someone else is going to raise their hand. Albert, can you read for us?
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Point number 1 is respect for everyone, irrespective of their gender. Point number 2 is appreciation for the diversities and the value from both genders. Number 3, prevention of low self-esteem and depression. Number 4, promotes team spirit, peace and serenity in relationships and marriage. And the last one is eliminates unhealthy rivalry and competition. Thank you.
Yes. These are the benefits. Very often when you are in a community where the men are at loggerheads with the women, essentially what is missing there is an understanding of their shared humanity. So if one gender is not treating the other in a humane way, of course, that gender will be pained. And when that gender is pained, that gender will go up in arms. So what is critical for you when you eventually get your own partner is to close your eyes to what is happening in the outside world and to look at your partner and treat them as a fellow human being. And I don't know of any marriage where the 2 partners treat one another with respect, with dignity, where you have trouble. Of course, there are many other skills that you need to have to build on, but these are the benefits. Both, there is mutual respect. It's not that respect is the food that men eat. We know. However, even women love to be respected. Love is the food that women eat, yes, but we also know men like to be loved. Women and men are different. Your shared humanity will help you to understand those differences and pay attention to them. When a couple both look at one another as human beings, it will prevent low self-esteem and depression. They'd be able to work as a team and there'll be peace and serenity in their relationships. Of course, there won't be unhealthy rivalry and competition. As we're getting to the end now, let's look at a child's perspective on humanity. Look at this little boy and this little girl. They're in their nursery. Do you think that the boy is concerned that he's sitting with a girl? Do you think that the girl is concerned that she's sitting with a boy? Look at how they're hugging one another. What do you think these children think? Share with me in the chat box. This young boy and this young girl just see one another as fellow human beings. They don't see gender. They see one another as fellow human beings. They will play together. They will do things together. When they fight, they will make up. Why? Because they just see one another as human beings. They don't have any misconception about what is possible for a man and what is possible for a woman. So I want you, as we get to a close, to think back on your own childhood and look at a time when you just went out to play with your friends. There are games that the girls will be playing and you will just go there and join them. And if anybody says you should not play it, you will cry because you don't even know that certain games are for girls only. You played at that time very freely with everyone and you felt pure happiness. Now that you are an adult and you have all kinds of beliefs about men and women, when you look back at your childhood and the happiness you had and the happiness you now have, is there a difference? If there is a difference, it means that your capacity to share humanity with other people have gone down, and you would need to work on that. So don't you think the problem of our world is an adult? When we say an adult, people who think that because they are adults, they have opinions, strong opinions that create trouble. And the solution to that problem is becoming a child again, recognizing that everyone around you is a human being like you. And so I'm inviting you, for those of you who are already married, I'm inviting you, for those of you who are engaged already, I'm inviting you, those of you who are single and are looking to find a partner, can we hold one another and make a commitment to be children again? Not children again to be foolish, but children again to remember all the time that we are human beings, just like other people around us. Treat the people around you as human beings. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now before we go back to the review questions. And then I'm going to sit back and hear from you. What are one or two things that you have learned here today? And what questions do you have on your mind? You can raise up your hand or you can ask them in the chat. Philip say adulthood is a scam. So questions about understanding humanity and what I have shared here today. Questions, questions, questions? Rachel said when she looked at those children, she saw innocence and friends. Yes. Okay, since there are no questions, we have a culture. Okay, Elizabeth says it's a mind-blowing session, learned about superiority the best way. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go around the room. All right, Bertram says every one of us, male and female, is entitled to their right to excel and to become great in their own path. No one should stop others from rising. That is true. So you can share your own feedback in the chat. Okay. Yvette says, what are the factors that remove childlike innocence? You're going to learn about that next week and the week that follows it. But I can summarize it. You know, once you begin to grow up and you are exposed in your community to the way people do things, unconsciously you begin to internalize a lot of things. So one of our colleagues in the Institute of Family Engineering and Development shared his experience with us. He was of Yoruba origin, and then he, you know, in the neighborhood was the son of a Hausa man. And the Hausa man was a Muslim, and his own father was a reverend in the Anglican church. And they used to play together every evening, he and the young Hausa boy. And then one day, somebody scolded him and said, what's he doing with a Muslim? Doesn't he know that he's a Christian? And they scolded him and said they must not see him speaking again, you know, playing with somebody who is a Muslim. Let the Muslim person not influence him. These were children who were under 10. So of course, what has happened there, the child is innocent, seeing this other young boy as his friend, able to do a lot of things, but then an adult has come and told him, no, that person is not the same as you. That person is different from you. In fact, that person is a danger to you. And that's how he got into that situation, you know. So Emmanuel says, what I've learned is a reaffirmation of the belief that we are all equal, regardless of gender. Adeshola says, how do we see the world like a child again? Adeshola, I'm happy that you are in Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program. As we go through the subsequent modules, you are going to learn a lot and you're going to let go of a lot of things. You've also done your relationship readiness assessment. By the time we assign you to a practitioner who is going to debrief you and walk you through the report that they have written for you, you discover a lot of things about yourself and your perspectives will change. So that's it. I think the question is similar to Olamide's, where she said, how do you get back the childlike innocence, especially in marriage? Again, those are the things that you're going to learn in the next week. But the foundation of it, so let me give you an illustration of how understanding shared humanity happens. So let us say Modupe meets a man now and they get married. And by Modupe's own upbringing, she learned some skills and she's very proficient in them. And then by the man's own upbringing, it was when he met Modupe that he actually became exposed to that skill. If Modupe does not understand shared humanity, she's going to be feeling very arrogant and saying, adult like you, you cannot, even small children have this skill. Now, if you understand shared humanity, you're going to remember that people cannot know what they have not been exposed to. It doesn't mean that you will settle for less, or it means that you will give that person room to grow. And it is only if they show a capacity not to be interested in growing that you are now going to put them aside. So that's, you definitely, as you go through this program, will get back your innocence. Philip says, there is no male or female. There is male or female. However, we are all human beings. Albert says, I have learned about humanity. My question, how can striking a balance be reached in a relationship? See, we have just opened the top of what you're going to learn. Come next week and you're going to learn even more. It is in 4 modules that we're going to go through all of this. We don't want you to be afraid, to be thinking, if I embrace this humanity, what if my partner does not embrace it? Part of why you're knowing it is so that you can also help another person to understand it. If your partner too has never been exposed to teaching like this, they may not know about shared humanity. Okay, Rachel says, realizing our mothers were once girls and our fathers were once boys, on navigating life then like us, wrong or right decisions were made. Yes, sometimes when you begin to understand shared humanity, you will have, you would not be so hard on your parents. I, as a parent, I have a child who is 38 going on 39. I've had to apologize to him that I'm sorry for some of the ways I treated you when you were younger because of what I didn't know. And so that's it. Okay. Sheun says, how can an individual remove himself from a deadlock situation where their partner finds it hard to share their humanity with them? Sheun, I'm going to pack this question for a reason. When we get to the module, understanding your engineering, you would find out things that would help you to know that maybe it is not that your partner doesn't want to share their humanity with you. Their engineering has made them to become somebody who does not know how to share their humanity. And that's the reason why we say, even for those of you who are single, if you have a partner that you're already dating, please encourage them to come for this program, because this is something that everybody really needs to know. Jessica says, what does one do if their potential partner thinks that they do not have capacity based on their gender to achieve some of their dreams? Is there a way to educate them apart from going through a program like this? What I'm going to say to you is that going through this program is already equipping you. By the time you go through the program, especially the later modules in this community infusion, you are going to understand why people think the way that they think. In the first week, when we asked you to do the self-awareness test, I read many of the responses. Many people were saying in their responses, I didn't know that I didn't know myself. So if somebody doesn't even know that they don't know themselves, all your motivation, all your inspiration is going to be like pouring water on the back of a calabash. But I assure you, as you're going through this program, part of why we created it is that the more people are going through this program, the more we are having an army of people who can help people who don't come to the program to understand what they need to know about life. Okay. Rebecca says we are human, so we should treat ourselves with the same equal right. Yes, that is it. So we still have some time. Do we have anyone who is having questions? If not, for those of you who have not shared your takeaway, I'm going to start calling you, and I would like for you to unmute yourself and share your takeaway with me. Okay? And when you're sharing your takeaway, this is the end of week 3. This is our first opportunity to hear back from you. You can also give feedback on all of the activities that you have done in week 1, in week 2, and in week 3. Some of you have asked questions in the WhatsApp group, and we have collected them and we're keeping them. We have a culture in Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program. We don't want to answer questions for you. that by the time you have gone through the program, you will be able to answer yourself. Part of our curriculum is designed in a way to get you to begin to be somebody who thinks through all of those issues and who find answers yourself. So the questions, I have read the questions that were shared in the WhatsApp group. The easiest thing for me to do would be to write an answer which you can all read. However, what we would like is for you to go through the program, and when we get to Q&A with me, for me to read that question out and for you to say, oh, Mommy Mo, now I have an idea of how to answer that question. And if at that stage you still don't have answers to the question, then I will provide an answer. Unless, of course, you are in what we call a decision valley, and you need to have an answer to that question almost immediately in order for you not to make a wrong decision. If that is the case, then you can tell Chisom, and then she would let me know, and I just might provide the answer for you. But generally, we want you to go through the program and begin to figure out the answers yourself. So I can't see any more questions. My power has gone, but thankfully my network is still here. I'm going to go around the room, and I'd like for you, while I'm waiting for the light to come, I would go around the room. I think I have something in the chat box. Okay. Emmanuel Samuel says, I think the issue of shared humanity becomes a struggle when you are not with your type. An educated person marrying an illiterate, a rich man marrying a poor girl. I feel that when couples are far apart in thinking and class, shared humanity becomes a struggle. Well, there is a possibility that, that definitely, I like the, how do you say it? I like the conclusion. I like the inference. Yes, I don't want to say conclusion. I like the inference that Emmanuel Samuel drew from that. Okay, so I'm going to go around the room, and as I said, here is the opportunity to share what you have learned here today, but also just share with us what are some of the things that you have learned over the last 3 weeks. And I'm going to go around the room as you are appearing on my screen. Adiola Bossman, you are the first person. Can you unmute yourself and share with us? Are you there? Okay, while we wait for her, let's go on to Jessica. Jessica?
Indeed, so far I have been learning a lot about mostly my own self, or I would say how my experiences might vary from other people's experiences or life stories, if I can put it that way. So I think my takeaway is that I should, well, give other people, partners, or even people generally anyway, the opportunity to see things from my point of view, same way I would expect them to give me the opportunity to see things from their point of view. So I hope that
That's a really huge takeaway. You don't know how huge it is, because I work with couples who are married, and a significant part of the challenges that they face is that both partners are looking at life only from their own perspectives. And given that they have come from different paths in life, if you insist that your partner must see life through your own lenses, life will be hard for both of you.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you. So, Yvette, let's hear from you.
I think so far I've been learning, like you said, most especially learning about myself as well. And also with the assessment that we did, just also helping me to kind of identify the areas that I need more work, and also the areas that I think that I'm strong now, but I also still need to maintain strength, because it's not just about saying, oh, I'm strong here. Anything can happen and then I can become, a little bit weak. And then also, I think from today's class, I took away for the fact that men and women, there's really nothing like, inferior or superiority. It's more like if they work hand in hand together in their respective roles as a husband or as a wife, it can make the marriage, better. So that's my takeaway. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you, Emmanuel J. Megbe. I hope I got your name right. You're next on my screen.
All right, yes, ma, you did. Thank you very much. All right, so I think for me, overall, so far, I think I've just been more of a case of, well, I can still use the word revalidating some beliefs that I have towards marriage, towards relationship, and at the same time just having a better perspective to some things that I heard. All right, so for instance, like I think one thing that stood out for me so far was about the fact that values is like a very core element to happiness in any relationship, and that was something that was really so profound, and I've now been understanding it more, like when I spend time reflecting on some of these lessons, understanding it better. And I think at the same time, also from the various assessments we've done so far, I think it's just a case of, just figuring out where I need to improve on, figuring out on, what my strengths has been so far, and just knowing where to work on and what to maintain and what to also discard. All right. And yeah, so from today's session, I think it was more of a case of, just realizing that there's nothing like superiority and inferiority. All right. In the sense that we, male and the female gender, were interdependent. All right. Regardless of how unique we may be, that does not mean that one is superior over the other, but that's basically interdependent. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you. So, Femi, you are next on my screen. Femi Oyedotun.
Yeah, okay, ma. Yeah, so I've learned a couple of things in these past couple of weeks. Part of it is similar to what one of the speakers just said, that value is the foundation for any marriage, so to say. So once that's broken, there'll be a lot of struggles with that. And the marriage should also be bounded by love and purpose. So love is almost like what reduces the friction. Purpose is much of like the end goal or the future. Yeah, and also that's a high risk to marry someone that doesn't have understanding of your purpose, because they always look like working against that purpose since they don't have an understanding of it. And also that although it might not be the most important thing, but chemistry is also a bit important, because just like love, like we say, if it's not going to be a mechanical relationship, then we need to have, some form of chemistry and then also love that will keep things going, especially when, things get maybe challenging or stressed or tough as it were. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Femi. Albert, it's your turn.
Okay. Yes, right away from the start of this course, I have learned that it is important to have knowledge and on what you want to do, especially when it comes to issues of marriage. So the first these first three lectures have been they have been very important to me, in that I've realized that values play a very key role in having a happy relationship. And I have also learned about some of the independent skills that I have. I didn't know that I have some of those skills, but I realized I had them. And yeah, they have really helped me a lot. And also I realized that meeting a spouse is not really specific to one place, but there are various places where you can meet a spouse, and I should not be limited to one place. And this is the knowledge that I will take also in case I'm advising someone. And I also realized that it's important to be very, very intentional in every stage of your relationship, and so on and so forth. And then lastly, for today's lectures, I realized that we are all in God's image, and no one is superior, no one is above the other, but our genders play a key role, because our genders come with they complement each other, and then the role as a husband and a wife, they are just roles that we need to play to complement each other in the relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Femi, it's your turn.
Okay, is that my own Femi? Because I think we're more than one here.
Okay, it's Femi Aishida.
Okay, thank you. Well, I recall something I saw on one of the Facebook chats that was very insightful. It was a story about a couple who both used to attend Orthodox churches before they got married, and were both very active in their churches. And the wife commented that when she got married and started attending her husband's Orthodox church, she wasn't really comfortable there because it was quite different from what she was used to. Rather than that becoming a big problem for them, they came together and they decided that they would both together choose a completely different church and start attending. And as you can imagine, there are thousands of churches. I don't know how they made that choice, but because they came together with a common intent, they found a church which worked for them and separated from their old churches and continued there. And I was very impressed with the fact that cooperation can make something which could be a very big problem not such a big problem after all. Because I can imagine people who are committed to a particular church over 10 years or more, maybe they're even church workers, going to a new church may be like getting a divorce from a family or so. But they made it work, and it's a good example of how people that have a common vision, I would say, can make anything work if they come together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that was a couple that understood their shared humanity. So instead of saying, this is the way I look at life, they say, this is another human being. Let's put head together and see how we're going to make this work. So Uche, with the Y, it's your turn. Are you there?
Hi everyone. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I think that one section that stood out for me was, I think it's the Ehirim's lesson, where he said mindset is 85% of the preparation and method is like 15%. So we need to clean up our mindset to prepare ourselves to being married and to being like the compassionate partner that you want to be. And I think that being in this class is like the first step to that, cleaning up our mindset and just preparing ourselves to be better partners. For today's session, I think the summary is just to treat people with respect and love, irrespective of their genders. Be more accommodating and humane enough to identify and understand other person's pain points. Generally, I think what we're saying here is be more empathetic and be more compassionate towards your partner. Thank you.
Thank you, Uche. So Rachel, you're next. Okay, Rachel, are you there? And anyone else who is there, you can also share your takeaways in the comments, in the chat. Elizabeth, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much for this amazing section. So for me, I've been learning so much about myself. Like it's more like I'm discovering myself again. It's more like I'm learning things I haven't come across before, that I didn't know before, like self-discovery. And for today's section, it's really, really mind-blowing, learning about how we are both male and female are equal because God created us equally, and also learning about superiority and all of that. With the old examples that was given, the illustration and everything gave me a lot of clarity. So it has really been a very wonderful section, and thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Adeshola, let's hear from you. Is she there? Okay, while we're waiting for Adeshola, Adewale or Jetunde?
Adeshola had given her comments in the chat.
Okay, in the chat. All right, then I'll read it.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you very much for tonight's session. Okay, so one of the things that kept my mind wondering this night is about there is no superiority in both genders. So initially, I used to have this belief that, okay, if anything goes wrong in my home, as the male, God will hold me responsible for that, for anything that goes wrong as a family. So I used to have this mindset that, so I must be the major decision taker, even if I'm going to be consulting my wife. So I'm already in a relationship. I and my fiancé had an argument about what should happen, and we are on different view about this situation. So, and she even took it to the extent of that. So if you're in this situation, is that the decision I'm going to make? I said yes. I would rather send my child to a place where I know he or she is going to come out well than me raising him if the child is not going to come out well. But I'm working to be a good parent. I'm working on that already. And she said, no matter the situation, we are going to raise our child in our home. I said, yes. So all those thoughts was coming back to my head. So I was like, okay, so we have to, and which boils down to the point which we have to keep in mind that, okay, how can I satisfy this person? How can I balance this as both human being, not about I'm the man and you are the woman, I'm the major decision taker, as my previous mindset used to be. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Adewale, and thank you for sharing that with us. You know, in the family, but what is important is that both partners must see one another as human beings. And sometimes the way that you would go about things would help you. You may have a partner who God has given you, who knows more than you in a certain area. If you decide that, no, I will not listen to that person, it would affect the quality of the decision that you're going to make. Okay. Let me read quickly. Rachel said, I realized I didn't really know myself and I felt I was ready for marriage. But as it is, I'm not prepared for that journey. So I'm looking forward to learning more, especially self-discovery and emotional development. Thank you. Adiola Bosman says, my key takeaway is that men and women feel pain. We should not trivialize each other's pain. Then Rebecca said, I have learned so far that before seeking to know another person, and she has also been able to identify some areas in herself. That said, how do we enlighten men that have the perspective that women have to be submissive or slaves to be called a wife material? Two things I'm going to say. Number one, when people have deeply held paradigms, shifting them is not by conversation. You would see in this program, for example, now that you started, but we chose not to start having interactive sessions with you for some time. We wanted to unconsciously begin to shift your paradigms so that you'd be open to some of the things that we're going to say. And as we go on, you're going to see. So how do you enlighten people? Number one, understand shared humanity. A man who is treating a woman in this way is coming from somewhere. And if they have been that way for 30, 35 years, then it is not going to be changed just because you did like this. But what is obvious is that if you are not yet married to that person, it means that you are seeing that this person is not somebody who is treating you as a human being. Then the question you will ask yourself is that should you go on in this relationship with somebody who is not treating you like a human being, who does not understand shared humanity? But in subsequent sessions, this question is going to be addressed, Adeshola. Okay, our time is fast spent. Aqua says, I'm really learning more. I thought I was ready for marriage and I don't even know myself or what I really want in a partner. I wasn't. I didn't even know what was important to look out for before choosing a partner. I thought that love was all that matters. Aqua, you are in the same shoes as many people. That's why we created Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program. And so we'd like you even now to begin to encourage your friends who you know need to be on this program. Another class is going to start on May 12th. Myself and my colleagues, some of who are here, are committed that we will spread this gospel because we believe that if people gather this knowledge, they will make wiser decisions, we will have better marriages, and people will not be knocking themselves on their head a lot. Olamide says, the program has opened my eyes to be able to look into myself, to know my strengths and my own weaknesses. It has also forced me to examine my own beliefs and paradigms. And that's what we really want for it to do. We don't want to keep you, but I have two people here who I'm going to call, and don't ask me why I'm calling them. I'd like to hear from them. Sir Gideon Aderogba, I'd like to hear from you. What are your takeaways so far? If you are in a place where you can talk, just unmute yourself. And when you have done that, Ojuolakwe, get ready also to talk, and then we would end the program today. But the form in which this happened today is the same way it's going to happen in all the interactive sessions that we're going to have. So come ready to talk, come ready to share, and come ready also with questions, because the facilitators will definitely answer your questions. So Gideon Aderogba, are you there? Are you able to talk? Please share your takeaway with us.
Yes, Mommy Mo. I must confess it's a blessing coming across you in life. The Lord bless you, ma. The Lord bless you. The Lord indeed has raised you up for our generation at this time to actually open our eyes to a lot of things we need to know. I'm a married man already, but I wish I've known all these things before I married. And my eyes is just being open to lots of errors which are committed in the past. Today's teaching is actually a blessing indeed. A blessing indeed. I have come to understand. Yes, I've read the scriptures. I know the Bible made man, uh, male and female created he them. But the approach to that understanding today has actually opened my eyes to a new level of enlightenment on the fact that what culture has taught many of us is actually wrong. We have actually come to the level of dehumanizing ourselves, and that is not the way it should be. I've actually learned today that when we talk about man indeed, we are talking about humanity expressed in masculine and feminine gender, and which is indeed something I hold on to. I don't need to begin to see myself being superior than my wife. or see my wife being superior than myself, and I need to actually allow the humanity in my wife to be expressed, just as I also want mine to be expressed. The question you asked about which one is superior between the egg and the ovary, in fact, that one actually spiked me or like, it is true. What are we talking about here? Wow. It is true how they actually complement each other and how they actually depend on each other and how they actually need each other in order for results to be attained. Thank you very much tonight. I must confess my eyes at this open. Thank you very much. It's a blessing coming across. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ojualakwe is the person I said should speak last, and she says that she's lost her voice, or she has shared with me in the chat. So let me read it out. She said, from the first two scenarios shared tonight, navigating career decisions and responsibilities, and navigating career decisions and then responsibilities and stroke expectations of partners. Mommy Most said something that I found poignant. If a person holds a deep conviction or established position on a matter, it might be difficult to get them to change. As such, we ought to bear that in mind when navigating relationships. Yes, and I like that she made that point, and we are closing there, because the next two modules are going to expand more on this, particularly for those of you who are still single. You know, there are many things that we can discuss and negotiate, but however, the person that you are wanting to discuss and negotiate with, are they open to learning and are they willing to change? I usually ask in the one-on-one pre-marriage preparation that I do, I said, if this thing that is so important to you does not change for the next 50 years, will you be able to live with that person? If you are going into a relationship thinking that you will find a way to change a strongly held belief of another person, when we get to understanding your engineering, you will know why you should tread carefully in that place. Thank you all very much, for being here today. And thank you for being very active participants. There are 60-something of you, so it's not possible for me to respond to every email, but believe you me, I read all of them. I read all of them, and I'm glad that you are all having transformative experiences. Boluwatiwi, over to you.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's no point turning on my video because it's also dark where I'm at. But thank you so very much, everyone, for your participation tonight. Special thanks to Mommy facilitating the very first interactive session. I'm glad that we started on the note of understanding humanity. I hope that everyone, after now, will go and ruminate some more on all that you have learned, on all that we have shared, on the perspectives that different people have brought into this very robust discussion. I'm also hoping that those that will catch the replay will perhaps be able to leave their comments in the WhatsApp community after engaging with tonight's resource. So this is where usually we would ask if Chisom has any, housekeeping rules or updates or status of whatever kind that she wants us to provide.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mommy Mo. Good evening, Mrs. Bluwati. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much, every one of you, for coming for this session. Thank you, Mommy Mo, for sharing your knowledge with us as usual. Thank you, Mrs. Bluwati, for facilitating the program. So a few announcements I want to make, and thank you also to you participants for coming around, for making your time to
making out time to be here live. We appreciate that. Okay, so we want you to keep it up. Okay. So a few announcements. After the session, we are going to share a link with you, a feedback link that we are going to use to capture your feedback about the session. So the link is an anonymous link. You are not going to tell us your name, but you're going to tell us what's the session, how the session was for you. We will look at it, go through it, then we'll know where to improve and what we are doing better or what we're not doing better, so that we can always improve on the program. Okay, though secondly, we want to ask most of you that have not started with your task, if you're listening to me live or if you're listening to the recording of this, please, you have to pick up from where you stopped and complete your weekly task. All outstanding tasks and the one that you are yet to start, please, you know, pick up from where you stopped. And I want to also appreciate those that are really up to date. We see your submissions, like Mommy Mo said, we read them. We are glad that you're following up with the program. We are glad that you're learning a lot of things already. We are really happy about that. Okay, so keep it up, keep it up. We see you. Okay, then lastly, we ask those of you that are yet to complete your RRA, that's Relationship Readiness Assessment. If you are yet to complete your own, please do it so that we can be able to link you up or to merge you with the family life practitioner that's assigned to you that will work with you for 1 hour, one-on-one, 1 hour, one-on-one free session. Please. Without that, you are not able to, you will not be able to. Hello, can you everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I didn't know where I stopped that I missed it.
You were telling them about for the relationship readiness assessment to be completed.
Yes. Please, if you're yet to complete your own, do it as soon as possible so that we can be able to link you up or to merge you with the family life practitioner that are going to work with you one-on-one in any moment from now. Please do it as soon as possible. I think that's all for now. Thank you very much, Mami Mo. Thank you, Mrs. Boluwati.
All right. Boluwati, just before you go, please, if you are a couple, that is you and your partner are on this program, if you haven't already told that to Chisom, please tell her, because when we are assigning you to practitioners, we would like to assign people who are couples to the same practitioner. So if you are a couple and you haven't spoken yet to Chisom today to let her know that you're a couple, please let her know. Oluwatiwi, over to you.
Thank you, Mommy Mo. Thank you, Chisom. Thank you, everyone who attended tonight's class. To our practitioners that attended as well, we see you. Thank you so much for your devotion, your commitment. This is where we draw the curtain and we say thank you again. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.